Welcome, everyone. We are very excited today to celebrate Kwanzaa. I'm sure some of you have heard about Kwanzaa. Some others may not have heard about Kwanzaa, but today we're excited to have our very own Dr. Paul Easterling, who actually has a PhD in religion and has studied many religions and traditions, African traditions inclusive. Um, Give us an intel of Kwanzaa. Dr. Paul Easterling, you are welcome. Please take it away.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. I just developed a short presentation to give you a little visual reference for Kwanzaa, and then we'll just talk about it as we go along with each day. So start with that. All right. So today's first day of Kwanzaa. So happy Kwanzaa. It's the day after Christmas. So I hope everybody is doing well out there in the world. And a jumbo to everybody. All right, so this is the little brief presentation. We'll talk about each tradition or each day of the tradition, and then we'll open the floor for Q&A as we move along. All right. So just to begin, Kwanzaa was founded by Dr. Maulana Karenga. He's an African-American studies scholar. He's been an eminent scholar in African-American studies, Africana studies for 40, almost 50 years at this point. He developed the tradition based on his knowledge of Africa and wanted to develop something that was inclusive of Africa, but as well something that we could celebrate around the holiday season. It wasn't meant to be a replacement of Christmas, for instance, but more of a supplement to it. You could clearly replace it if you wanted to. But he didn't mean it to be a competition with Christmas at all. He just wanted to develop a celebration for African Americans, African people across the world, for us to celebrate ourselves with everything going on. So he is the founder of the US organization. It's a movement that began right around the time the Black Panthers began. It's a cultural nationalist organization. And again, he developed this Pan-African holiday to be shared with everybody on the continent and across the diaspora. He founded it in 1966. So a little bit over 50 years ago, this was founded. And the language that he used to develop this celebration is Kiswahili. And the name Kwanzaa, the word Kwanzaa in Kiswahili means first fruits of the harvest. So just so people know, this is a changing of the season. We're changing right now from fall into winter, and every time there's a changing of the season, it seems a harvest time. So this is seen as a time for us to gather together as families and celebrate with food and stories. As many people would, during any harvest times, which there's many different harvest celebrations across the planet. All right, so he developed the Nguzo Saba, which are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and these are based on what he calls 7 traditions of African heritage based in communalism. So again, the important aspect of Kwanzaa is for us to come together as a community. It's a very community-based tradition. All right, moving forward. All right, so there, just like in Christmas, there's many symbols that we have for Kwanzaa, and I have them laid out right here, so I'll just pan with the camera. So we have the Kinara and the candles, the Mashuma Saba, And right here we have the Kanara right here on the and the candles right here. And the candles are always supposed to be red, black, and green. Red, black, and green are the colors of the Panera, the Pan African flag. And red, just so everybody knows out there, red is for the blood of the people. Black is for the skin color, and green is for growth and prosperity in the future. So those are the three symbols that we have, three color symbols for the Panera, the Pan African flag, that is critical to Kwanzaa. And then I have a mat here, but you can't see it. We have a McKay right here, and then we have Mahindi corn. It could also be any type of fruits. What I have right here, and the Unity cup right here, and Zwadis, gifts. Now for Kwanzaa gifts, you can package them like Christmas gifts if you so choose so. But sometimes the gifts are just something that's given. It's not meant to be a capitalistic tradition or celebration. So for your gifts, you can give your time, if you give your energy, if you give a hug, or develop a good meal and you give that to somebody. These are also gifts that are very much observed within the Kwanzaa tradition. So it's not always necessarily having to wrap a present and give it to a person. um, the tradition of Kwanzaa is meant to kind of reduce the need or the desire for capitalistic or for capitalism. Kind of reduce the need for money. You give of your heart and you give of your hands rather than just giving up your money. But if you do buy a Kwanzaa gift, that's no problem. It's all part of the tradition, so they'll be upset. All right. So moving forward, you have any questions so far? Good. All right. All right. So the first day of Kwanzaa, every day of Kwanzaa, you celebrate a different principle. Again, this is the Ngusu Saba, 7 principles. Ngusu Saba. So the first principle of Kwanzaa is umoja, which is unity. Unity. And he defines it as unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Emoja, the first day. So again, unity is very much self-explanatory. We're just meant to come together and recognize our connections rather than our divisions within our family, within our community, and the nation, and of course the larger Pan-African family across the planet. And that's the first day. So with each day, and I'll go ahead and light these as we go. With each day, we have to light one of the candles of the Kanara. So the first day, you light the black candle, and I'm lighting it right now, and I'll turn the camera in a minute, as we go along. It's kind of hard to see it, but in the spirit of the tradition, I'll light as we go along. So just know that, everything's being lit. All right, so first day is Umoja, unity. And, we can see unity in a large number of aspects throughout our lives. And what we're meant to do on each day is to talk about what unity means to us, right? It's really a family oriented celebration. So, me and my sons, we will celebrate Kwanzaa later, and we'll talk about, what unity means to us. And for each day, we talk about this, what each principle means. So, just for myself, unity means, just that close connection that we have to one another as people. My family, we're real close, and we have a pretty tight knit community here in Baltimore. Sometimes it's a little rough around the edges, but that's part of community. But in terms of this year, we've seen a lot of unity. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of it based on the George Floyd murder at the hands of police. But regardless of the circumstances, I think it's a very important point that we're able to share in this unity this year, especially given everything that's going on. So I think unity is a very important principle for this year in particular, for 2020. So throughout the day, keep that in mind. To bring the spirit of unity wherever you go. All right, and then we'll go the next day is Kuji Chagulia. Kuji Chagulia. It's a very difficult word. You gotta take it in spaces. So Kuji Chagulia, self-determination. Self-determination. And that is to define ourselves, to name ourselves, to create ourselves, and to speak for ourselves. All right. So on this day, we will go. We've already lit the black candle. So for Kuji Chagalia, we'll go to the first red candle on the outside, and we're going to go red, green, until we get to the middle with the candle lighting. So self-determination, of course, is critically important. Um, so in the it's interesting that in the spirit of unity, which is the first day, with the most important, not the most important day, but the first day, we talk about unity, and then we narrow it back down to how does the individual function in the world, in society, and in family, and that's just to create this balance between what is communal and what is personal, right? This macro and micro world, bringing ourselves and understanding the balance between, our individual selves and our larger communal selves. And this is an important part of Kwanzaa. So as we define ourselves as African people, we remember Kuchi Chagalia on this day. Good. All right. And moving forward to the third day, Ujima. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Now, this one will light the first green candle for Ujima, collective work and responsibility. And that's to build and maintain our community together, to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. All right? Because we work together as a people. Nothing's done in a vacuum, and it's very difficult to get anything done when you're doing it by yourself. So we work together as a collective of family to address all of our needs, of our individual needs as well as communal needs. All right, it's Ujima. The second day, or the fourth day, excuse me, Ujama, cooperative economics, and this one will light the second red candle for Ujama, cooperative economics. This economics is not always about money. Sometimes it's just about the resources you have, the food you have, the time you have. And your giving of this time, your collective, your working with your community and any resources that you may have. So Ujama is to build your own businesses, control the economics of your own community, and to share in all the work and its wealth. Right, for us to come together and be cooperative with our economics, with our resources. It's not always money, though it can be money, but it's our resources is most important. Then for the fifth day, we have Nia, purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community, in order to restore our people to the traditional greatness. Purpose, to find purpose in life. And for this, we'll light the second green candle. Let me set this up. Like the second green candle in honor of purpose, honor of Nia. And it's just, being clear about who we are and what we want in this world, and how we will go about obtaining our needs and wants in this world as a collective African people, for us to have a sense of purpose. That's a very important aspect of Kwanzaa. And that's the fifth day. And the sixth day is Kuumba, creativity, to do always as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community a more beautiful, beneficial than when we inherited it. So, it's many ways we can be creative. We can be creative in the ways that we take care of our families. We can be creative with our art. We can be creative with our music. There's so many ways to be creative. We can be creative in the way we develop a business. Any ways to be creative. This is the day that we observe our creativity and celebrate it on Kuumba. And with this, we'll light the last red candle for the sixth day. Last red candle, Kuumba. And then finally, we have Imani, faith. To believe with all our heart in our Creator, our people, our parents, our teachers, our leader, and the righteousness in the victory of our struggle. Right. So, faith is whatever religion you believe in. And me and Dr. Kalu were talking about religion before we started talking today. And I don't really have a particular religion, but I have a lot of faith, in whatever creator is out there, and I have a lot of faith in our people, and our ability to uh, to see this struggle and to push it forward and to move on to the next generation and to stay alive and continue to celebrate ourselves in this struggle. So faith can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, and on this day we observe our faith. And this one, I light the last green candle for faith, for Imani. Um, and it's a very important aspect of our tradition. I think it's important that it comes on the last day. We started with unity and we end on faith. And this is celebrated on January 1st. And we take this spirit of faith in Kwanzaa into the new world. Each and every day we practice our faith. And again, it doesn't matter if it's religious faith or just faith in yourself, faith in your community, faith in your family. All these things are important. All these things, are aspect of faith that we can practice strongly and, celebrate each and every day. And that is the major point of Kwanzaa is, for us to take these 7 principles and practice them each day. The point of the celebration was to move away from the capitalism that Christmas sometimes gets bogged down with, and to bring it back to a family-centered, community-centered, nation-centered celebration where we all come together and celebrate ourselves, love each other, and these are very important parts. I just wanted to further emphasize how important love is. 2020 has been a rough year with COVID and protests throughout the world, not just here in the States with George Floyd, but we have NSARS in Nigeria. So you know we need to take time for ourselves and really observe, our traditions, love our families, and really take note of all the blessings that we have each and every day. Um, there's a lot, that we can say about these things, and it's been a rough year, so I know there's a lot of people can say about it, but it's just, as we move forward into this next year, we can take these principles and keep our faith, love our families, and move forward in the spirit of Kwanzaa, in the spirit of unity, self-determination, cooperative economics, a faith, a Kumba, a creativity, purpose, and collective work and responsibility. And if we keep these aspects in mind each and every day, we can work to develop a strong community and a proud community. So that's the all I have for the celebration we can, talk about it and talk about, what each aspect means to us, and for the rest of the time. But yeah, that's Kwanzaa. See, I got all the candles lit right here. Um, all right, yeah. So
Thank you so much,
yeah,
Dr.
of course.
Paul Easterling. This is beautiful. Again, I've lived in the US for over 20 years. This is my first time actually learning about Kwanzaa, to be quite honest
Wow.
with you.
Yeah.
And I like it because it was developed by an African American using African traditions and African philosophy. Just
Right.
beautiful. And I like what every day stands for. My question is, are the candles supposed to be lit on that day,
Yeah.
technically? Okay.
Yeah. Technically, I lit them all because we're just here today.
Right.
But yeah, each day you light a candle and you talk about each principle, and at the end of the week you have all 7 candles lit. And
Well,
yep.
well, at
So
the end of the week, I think after the first day, the first candle might burn down already. So you've discussed that, right? Or is it
yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
be?
Well, if you don't need to you light it, and then you can talk about the principles, then you can put it out so it lasts for the whole week. Yeah, that's usually what we do. So
Okay.
it's lit. I'll put it out in a minute, and then me and my sons will light it again later when we talk about emoja.
Now, since the 26th is today, is the first day of
Yes.
Kwanzaa, does it mean that it always ends on the 1st of January?
Yes, always ends on the 1st of January, and it's this is connecting the new world or the new year with the old year. Just bringing us into a new year, but also reminding us, of the past year that we just went through. Keeping our minds connected on our past as well as our future. But yeah, it starts in the old year, and then it'll end, in the new year on January 1st.
I'm gonna do some snooping around to see who is celebrating Kwanzaa around where I live, or even virtually, so I can join them in the daily celebration. If I don't find any this year, I will definitely at least try to make sure I do it the right way every
Yeah,
day next year.
yeah.
But it is such a beautiful tradition, and the themes that are discussed each day sound to me like a great great themes
Yeah,
to use to end the year and then usher in the new year.
yeah. I think Dr. Karenga was very astute in working to develop this tradition because uh, sometimes when we're in the struggle, we get kind of bogged down with our own place in it, and we get bogged down with our own research that we forget to celebrate, our lives. Um, and as well, it's important to develop things that we can do collectively. These things help to enrich our culture. And again, this is it was an African American tradition, but it was meant for the entire global African community. Um, I honestly do not know if there are people who celebrate Kwanzaa in Africa, other than maybe some African Americans who maybe have moved there. But it's definitely something that we should look into, further spreading. It's been around, for 50 years, so it's not necessarily a brand new tradition. But there's plenty of room for growth. And again, developing traditions, these type of traditions are important for community maintenance. For how we keep ourselves as a community, because we need to have those moments where we are celebrating. It's just a critical part of it. That's how communities develop. Regardless of everything that's going on in the world, we need to be able to stop and celebrate ourselves. Otherwise, we cease to be a community. Cease to be a community.
Indeed, life is a celebration. Let's enjoy it. Let's celebrate it.
Yeah.
Um, in the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that he used Kiswahili language to develop this celebration. So Kwanzaa, Umoja, and the rest of them, right? They're all
Yep.
words from Kiswahili.
Yeah.
How about the symbols that I saw in the presentations? Are those also from that region of Africa?
No, the symbols I believe are the symbols that he created himself. And they look like Adinkra symbols in their structure and their form, and I think that was on purpose as well. They're meant to look like Adinkra symbols, though they are not exactly Adinkra symbols because they're Adinkra symbols they're plentiful and they're just a little different. But I think he meant to do that. So we have two aspects of language working with Kwanzaa. One is the use of the Kiswahili language, and the second one is the use of symbols. And the symbols, of course, are just a different type of language that we use every day. And he wanted to bring these symbols in, to further to solidify what Kwanzaa is. Reinforcing the symbols. The symbols reinforce the idea, and the fact that he developed them together, I think, is really remarkable.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if there are any questions about Kwanzaa or some of the themes that we have learned about Kwanzaa. That it would be great at this point to get some questions or even contributions from those who are joining today. Are there any questions? In the meantime, I have another question, and that is, when you celebrate it in your family, um, how do you go about it? I know you say we can use gifts, we can use our time and, fruits.
Right.
What exactly do you use? Number one. And number two, I don't think you talked about the Unity Cup. I mean, you mentioned it, but how do you actually use it in the practice of Kwanzaa in the celebration?
The Unity Cup. We fill the Unity Cup with some sort of libation, and so for the celebration, so we fill it with some type of libation, and then we pour water or some type of liquid into a bowl or into some soil, and we call out the names of our ancestors to bring them into the celebration. So anybody who has recently passed, or not, maybe passed a long time ago, but we pour out the water, call out the name. That's the Nigerian, the Yoruba, the Ashe. We do the Ashe with each name, Ashe, Asheo, Ashe. So that's a third aspect that we're bringing in a third Pan African culture. We have Kiswahili. We have the symbols that resemble the Akan, Adinkra symbols, and then we bring in the words of the Yoruba, the Asheo, which so it be, let it be. Again, this is meant to be a Pan African celebration, so that's why Malana Karenga took different parts from different aspects from different parts of the continent, to make it as inclusive as possible. So we're not just focused on a Swahili or Egyptian. It's meant to be as inclusive as possible. And so for personally, we celebrate Christmas here. So as far as gifts are concerned, all my kids got their gifts yesterday. So we're not gonna do we're not gonna do any more gifts. So for today, what we'll do is we'll sit down as a family. We'll light the first candle. I'll explain unity, emoja, unity, and then we'll talk about what unity means to us. We'll go around the room. Each person will give a little anecdote about what unity means to us, and we'll talk about these things for a few minutes, just as a family, and then that'll be it for the day. And the second day, we'll come downstairs. I'll relight the unity candle, and then I'll light the first red candle, and we'll talk about Kuchi Chagalia, self-determination, and we'll do that every day until we get the last day of Imani on January 1st. And so that's just the way that we will celebrate it personally. Um, Some people, they give gifts every day, and the gifts are meant to be hand created, not necessarily bought. Of course, you can buy gifts. That's fine, because you work with your hands to get the money to buy gifts. So you can't really separate you buying a gift from working with your hands. There definitely is a connection. And if that's if that's all you can do is buy a gift that's special to your family, then by all means, it doesn't diminish the sacredness of the tradition if you buy a gift. But if you can make a gift, you make this gift, and it could be something simple, a frame with a picture of your family in it, a little poem, for create Kuumba Day, creativity. You can make a poem for your family, and make a song, or a picture. It's whatever you want to do, however you are inspired to celebrate it, celebrate it, and celebrate it in love and in peace. And that's what we do.
No, I love it. I can also imagine, you know, um, celebrating each day, and at the end of the day, sort of tell folks about what they need to bring or work on for the next day. Like you mentioned, maybe say, okay, we are going to write poems
Right.
to each other, or about something, and then let's come back, and that becomes part of the celebration for
Right.
the creativity day. I
Right.
mean, I can see a lot of things being fired at the same time, and you are
Right.
firing, you're activating the spiritual aspect, the intellectual aspect, even more emotional community. I mean, there's so
Right.
many things happening, and it's just a
Yeah.
beautifully coming together.
Yeah.
When I looked
Exactly right.
online, I saw even some people, taking it to the next level. I mean, they have other things, beyond some of the items that you showed today.
Yep.
They have some other things, maybe some of their family um, portraits,
Yeah.
um, or some aspects
Yeah.
of their spirituality that they bring to the
Yeah.
celebration. So
That's and
it can be customized.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that we'll do around here. I mean, you can't see it, but we have pictures of ancestors all over this house, people that have been close to us and died, and we keep them with for the Ghanaian listeners, we keep them with our stools. I've been to Ghana several times, and I bought black stools for the ancestors. So I keep the pictures around of our ancestors with the black stools. So we'll gather those pictures, and we'll put them around the Kanara, and we'll talk about our family members as well, and maybe talk about um, how they celebrated their unity when they were alive, for instance, right? And we'll just put it all in the center of a table. So we have the ancestors here. For those people who we do not have pictures for, we'll just simply call their names, right? And that'll bring them in with us. So we'll call out the names of my grandfathers, um, and call out names of friends and family members who have passed on to the realm of the ancestors, to bring them in into this space with us. And that's it's literal, and it's figurative as well, because once I call out a name, everybody's thinking about that person, right? And that's how their spirit is here. So
Yes.
for those who are worried about spirits or whatever, we're not doing any seances here. We're not. It's not what we're doing here. We're calling out their names, so their memories are with us. And when their memory is here, their spirit is here. Right? It's that simple. But it's a heavy. It's heavy as well, because that love comes with them. So just by me calling out my grandfather's name, Luther Easterling, he's here. I'm thinking about him. I can hear his voice. Right? I can recall, sitting on his lap. I can smell, his hands after a work day. That's the spirit of Kwanzaa right there.
Absolutely. I mean, that is so African, and people oftentimes misunderstood the importance of ancestors, and they think Africans worship their
Right,
ancestors. We
right.
do
That
not do
yeah.
that. We
That's
honor our ancestors. We remember them, and
yeah,
that is different.
yeah.
And yeah, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
I've never met a person on the African continent or anywhere else in the world who said they worship their ancestors. That's not how it works. When we call their names, they are here with us. And again, it's not, call their name in some type of seance. When we call their names, their memories, our memories are sparked with what they represented to us in those times that we had, and that's important. That's a critical aspect. It's not worship in any way. It's veneration. It's love. It's love is the best way I can explain it. To put one word on it, it's just the love that we felt, and that warm feeling that I get in my heart when I think about my family and my people that have come before me. That's the spirit. That's what I'm calling for. I'm calling for that love.
Just so you know, we do have you have a question and a comment. It's Chris, our own Chris Ezekbe, actually, who's saying, even in our Abreba community, unity cups are common in Iyumoka Omon, the
Yeah,
Chamber of Commerce.
yeah,
I mean, I would really like for you, Dr. Paul Easterling, to investigate the Abreba culture, because as we were talking, because I am from Abreba, just like Chris,
yeah,
and I, throughout at least in the Igbo nation, the
yeah.
Abreba people are one of the peoples in Igbo who've maintained their culture till today. So wherever we go, we carry our culture with us. So like in the US, for example, we create the Abreba enclave, the Abreba community in
Huh.
the US, So we have all the events. We have the Eze Inyimoka, the king of the Abreba in the diaspora.
Right,
You have
right.
it here in the US. So anywhere you see Abreba people, they have that Abreba community there. And he's reminding us here that we do have those unity cups
Yeah.
that we use for libation and all that stuff. Um, of course, and of course, part of the reason why we have these Abraba communities is to foster commerce,
Right.
right? And also,
Cooperative economics. That's cooperative
that's it.
economics. Right.
It's very important, and we
Yeah.
also do a lot of community service where we also come together through age
Collective work and
system
responsibility.
to help the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Abraba village. So
Yeah.
I mean, so this Kwanzaa thing in some ways reflects what we do in the Abraba
Yes. Yes.
community. I mean,
Definitely.
it just really struck a deep nerve
Yeah.
in me, and I just so much love it.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
What you just described was Ujima and Ujama, right?
Right.
Collective work and responsibility and cooperative economics, right? And when Karenga developed these principles, he didn't just pull them out of thin air. He studied different African traditions. So, you talked about the Unity Cup. Well, the Unity Cup is ubiquitous across the continent. You can find them the Akan have a Unity Cup, the Yoruba have a Unity Cup. I'm sure the Zulu and the Kosa, they have a Unity Cup. This is Unity Cups are kind of, again, they're throughout Africa, right? And we use them in the same way, right? We pour libation, we pour it on the ground, we speak a blessing, pour it on the ground, you speak a blessings, take a sip, pour it on the ground, speak a blessing, and then we pass it around. And everybody takes a sip and speaks their blessing. Right? This is something that is again ubiquitous. Regardless of how many languages are on the African continent, we have traditions that are extremely similar, and that's where we can speak of a collective African culture. This is it's not to erase anybody's special cultural specificity. It's to really celebrate, all the connective tissue that we have as African people, and there's a lot of connective tissue. It's a lot of connective tissue. We may speak different languages, but you know, when we speak as a family and we speak through our gestures and our actions, it's very similar in what we do and how we celebrate and how we recognize and love each other as human beings. It's very similar, and that's what Dr. Karenga was pushing towards.
No, we should definitely elevate this. There was a question that I missed earlier, and that is, do you have to light the candles in a certain order? That's the question
Mm-hmm.
on the chat room.
Yes, yes, you do. And I did it in order. Um, so the one that goes first, or just one that goes first is the middle. That's the black candle that goes first, and then we go to the red candle on the further side, and the green candle on the further side, and then you go inside, 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 inside. So yeah, it goes back and forth. Starting with the black, then red on the further side, green on the further side, and boom, 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 until you finish. So
Um,
when you relight, so after every day, you don't keep the candles going overnight, because that might be a fire hazard. So when you relight the candle for the next day, you would start again with the black candle in the same order that you would go red, green, red, green, red, green.
I'm glad you actually showed us visually how it's done, because I remember you actually said it is done in order, but
Yeah.
I was thinking it's from inside out, right? So you do
No.
the black one in the inside, then the red one in the inside, then you going out. But I'm glad you showed it to say, okay, the black is the first one that you do on the first day, but on the second day you go to the red one on the
Yeah.
outside.
It's outside
So
in.
so
It's
outside in.
outside in. Yeah. And I'm not sure. I think Hanukkah does inside out. I'm not sure exactly if they do inside out. But yeah, for Kwanzaa, it's outside in.
So I'm excited. This is really such a beautiful celebration, and like I said, I'm going. And if you have any, since you've been celebrating this, if you know how I can connect with those in my region, if there's a website to go to find people who are celebrating Kwanzaa, let me know. I want to go and find people who are doing it so I can join them this year. Otherwise, next year I'll definitely be, now that I've learned it, I'll make sure I celebrate,
Yeah.
with my community here in
And
Lincoln, Nebraska.
when I used to live in Nebraska, we celebrated it with the at the University of Omaha, and I think that the Malcolm X Foundation, Omaha, they might celebrate it yearly as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So, and some churches, some of the larger black churches might celebrate. The North Omaha churches might celebrate it.
All right. Well, this has been beautiful. Any other questions before we wrap it up? We do have some time left on the clock, but we don't have to take the whole time if we don't need to. But it's been a beautiful celebration of Kwanzaa. Um, let's see. So I think we have another comment here, also referring back to the Abreba people. At the beginning of every Inyimoka Omon Chamber of Commerce meeting, the leader uses the Unity Cup in the opening remarks by calling the ancestors with a quality hot drink to pour on the ground as libation.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
and
Yeah.
go ahead, please.
Yeah. And I was thinking of Akan naming ceremonies. Akan naming ceremonies. I don't know if there's any Akan folk out there. But after 7 days, the child is not supposed to be immediately named. The name comes later, because you want that child to come into the world fully. So that first 7 days of the child is born, it's kind of in limbo. The child is still partly in the spiritual realm and partly here. After 7 days, the child's spirit has decided to stay. There's a libation that comes. So we speak the child's name, and I think it goes, so and so could say Kwame. So Kwame, when you drink water, you say it as water, and then you put water on in the baby's tongue, and then you say Kwame when you taste liquor, you say it's liquor. You put a little liquor on the child's tongue, and it's a way of saying, speak the truth, right? If it's water, water. If it's liquor, liquor. Don't lie. You come into this world speaking the truth, and we're teaching you the difference. We're just giving you a little taste of each on your tongue, and then we say this child's name in full. We say their the full day name for Kwame is born on Saturday. Today's Saturday, so we'll go with that. Um, and when you speak this, everybody else speaks the name, and we take a sip. We pour some on the ground, and the ground, of course, represents the spirit of the earth as well as our ancestors, because we dedicate them back to the earth when they pass on. Again, these are things that that are old, right?
Yes.
These are not new traditions. Kwanzaa is new. Kwanzaa is a new tradition that started in 1966, but it pulls from very old traditions,
Nation.
and we bring that history forward. That's in the spirit of Sankofa, to borrow
Yes.
another a con term, the spirit of Sankofa, to go back and retrieve and bring forward.
And again, thank you so much to Chris Ezekbe, who continues to support with comments from his experience in Abreba. So he continues to say that everyone present at the meeting also drinks from the unity cup,
Yep.
rich or poor, big or small.
Right.
And this is also, if you remember, at the point, um, one of our faculty members, Emil John, was at a village, and he also observed. He was studying the different villages, and Abreba was one of the places where he went to. He observed people sharing from a cup. Now, there's a question now that I have for you. Now, what do we do during COVID? In COVID, I wouldn't think it would be such a great idea now. To drink from the Unity Cup now. I know we want to be one now. But we still have COVID. So, are there any ideas on how we can get around that? Now, and it's a serious question too, because we don't want to offend people too. Like they're used to having sharing from one cup. All of a sudden, we now have, are we going to have multiple cups? Are we not going to do it? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So that is important. Everything's got to be adjusted for COVID. So if it's just you and your family, so if it's just your household, I'm sure you'll be fine sharing a cup. But if you go to a community celebration, one thing I've seen done, if you don't want to take a sip, is you put your fingers in the water and you flick it on the ground and you say your asheo, flick, just with your hand, right? So you don't have to maybe get infected with COVID. That's one thing I would do is just dip your fingers in the water and flick it towards the ground, splash it towards the ground, and this will suffice. I would say, because I've seen it done in different ceremonies. People who didn't want to drink, they just flick it towards the ground or simply pour. It's up to you. Yeah.
And there are also those little small plastic cups that people use to take shots. We can buy many of those and just kind of still share from one big cup as a unity cup.
Yeah.
Instead of having multiple big cups, we have one big cup, then you pour into the individual small cups, and then that could be another way to get around it.
Yes.
Because even outside of COVID, I mean, there are other communicable diseases out there too, right?
Right.
So I think we need to sort of think about ways to modernize some of these things. And you're right. With your family, with your close ones, you can still have that unity cup. It's so powerful.
Right.
Which, I mean, one thing I have to say though, I do really appreciate that emphasis on unity, and we also see it even in the communion in the Catholic faith. Like they use the cup,
right,
to share the communion. So a lot of religions and cultural practices do have the same symbol, right?
And that brings up a point. Kwanzaa is meant to be non-religious. Again, the ancestors, we call the ancestors not based on any religion, and we're not worshiping our ancestors. We're just calling up forth their memory. So it doesn't matter what religious tradition you have, you can still celebrate Kwanzaa. Karenga purposely started the tradition after Christmas, so you can still celebrate Christmas and Kwanzaa. That's in my household. That's what we do. Because we still have a lot of Christians in my family, and it's their beliefs, their tradition. I'm not going to look down on it at all. And I have kids, so they want Christmas gifts, and I'm not going to keep it from them. It's my family did that for me, so I'll do that for my family. So we just celebrate both, right? Christmas was yesterday. or sometimes we call it here Kwanzaa Eve. But and Kwanzaa's today, so we'll celebrate Kwanzaa until the first of the year, and it's not Hanukkah is also a couple of weeks ago, so it's not meant to be in conflict with any tradition. It was specifically chosen so it would not be in conflict with any
Love it, love it.
other tradition. So Christmas, Hanukkah, and the New Year all in one, and still be still have some integrity, cultural integrity. So um, yeah, for everybody out there, you can celebrate and still be a Christian. It's okay.
Wonderful. No, I love what you just said. It is not a religious celebration. It's a community celebration.
Yeah.
It's important that we understand that. So it is a community-based celebration, not a religious. And it's something you can actually adopt in your own family, and of course practice it widely within the community.
Yep.
There is a question and a comment in the Q&A box. Let me read that out to you. This and it's from Mr. Tezazu. He says that this form of togetherness is everywhere. Can we leverage it to solve the big challenges we have? And he continues to add that culture is the glue, the strong bond that can create prosperity. Happy New Year. That was what are your reactions to that?
I think again that was Karenga's point, is to leverage these moments for something larger, not just something that we do every year, but we can observe the principles of Kwanzaa every day, and they're meant to be. We can observe unity every day, self-determination, cooperative economics. We can observe these things every day without having to light a candle, right? We can light the proverbial candle in our heart. Maybe that's a good way to put it. We can do that every day that we get up. However we want to go into the world, we bring, we can bring these spirits with us. The spirit of unity, the spirit of self-determination, a spirit of faith everywhere we go. Every day of the year. So that's definitely important.
Well, I think this is a good place for us to wrap it up. We have just 5 minutes on the clock. It's been, for me, a beautiful presentation and celebration. I feel edified. I feel lifted up. And I'm reminded of what I need to be doing as I wrap up this year and enter into a new year. So I want to say a big thank you to you, Dr. Paul Easterling.
Thank you
for really helping us out. There's a comment as I'm talking that came into the Q&A chat box that says, "This is likely to solve the Willie Lynch letter." That's a comment in the chat box there. I appreciate whoever sent in that comment. There's so many good things. I think what's left for us now is to actually go out and practice it. Let's make an effort.
Yeah.
And make an effort. I mean, to practice this in our families, in our communities, amongst our friendships. And maybe, we may have to break it into them slowly.
Right.
Perhaps not come in and say, hey, now let's celebrate Kwanzaa because it's totally brand new. But we can celebrate those themes.
Yep.
Say, hey, friends, can we talk about, creativity? How are we going to be creative next year?
Right.
And that could just be a topic of conversation. Can we talk about cooperative economics? How are we going to, start a business? How are we going to maintain our business? How are we going to increase our sales? How can we use our business to support our community? How can we bring others into what we're doing? That could just be a theme for discussion. So let's go out there and make it a point to seed some of these themes into our conversations, at least for a start.
Yeah.
And then maybe next year, or if you are able to find a community to plug in today or this year, you could do that. So this is really beautiful. Dr. Paul Easterling, I want you to have the last word and close us out today.
All right. Well, just in the spirit of unity, I thank you for everybody who came and joined us today. And take the spirit throughout the rest of your day. Love yourselves, love your family, and they'll take it on into the next year. Spirit of unity. I love you guys.
Ubuntu. Thank you.
Ubuntu. Ubuntu.
Guyela, Guyela, mama.